Welcome, and we are here on this St. Patrick's Day for NFT Podcast, and we are hosting ENFT. They are doing some seriously good things on Elrond. So, if you want to introduce yourself, Chris, and what your role is in ENFT, and kind of just give us a little bit of what you guys are doing, and then I'll kind of give you some more questions of what what you got, what I think might be special to the community. So
Sure. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me onto your podcast. I know you've been putting in a lot of great work, I think since December on it. So, thanks so much for helping to organize the community and educate people, right? And that's like really core to our my beliefs. And I know Wesley is all about that as well. So, I think a lot of us teaming up to make this happen for the community is a really great thing. So, first of all, thank you for having this space, and then for having me on, inviting me on today. So a little bit about myself. Yeah, my name's Chris Pham, doxing myself right here. And I was born and raised in Arizona. I'm a son of Vietnamese immigrants, like refugees. So definitely a soft place in my heart for all of the Ukrainian refugees these days. I grew up here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I went to school at Wharton at UPenn, and then I started a career, 10-year career in venture-backed startups. I mainly did enterprise software and like infrastructure, middleware. So just like the back end of Web 2. So I ended up being head of sales at a company called DealPath when COVID hit. At March 2020, I was in New York at the wrong time. We had offices in New York, and I was hoping to run the New York office, and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Caught COVID, and ended up catching long COVID, actually. So you haven't heard too much about long COVID. It can be pretty debilitating. So I spent like a year and a half almost not being able to like walk a block. I was training for a triathlon before, and then I got COVID, and then I couldn't walk a block. Right. And I ended up actually getting fired from my job. Can't sell any software when you can't wake up. And but then I got all this space. On the other flip side, I got all the space to do research into Web3 and crypto and NFT. And then I started trading NFTs myself. You might see a few of my NFTs that are still in my collection here, right? And I got absolutely hooked, as a trader, flipping NFTs. I was talking to you earlier about my Cool Cats flip, which I did for, I think, like 2 or 3 more ETH than I sold, then I bought it. Then I went over to Cardano, and we were minting and flipping NFTs like crazy. That community is insane. The blockchain sucks, but the community is insane. And did 10x's or 15x's on my NFTs, and just really like was trading up a storm for a long time, which then got me through kind of like the summer of 2021. Doing all this NFT trading, flipping, minting across different chains as well, like Phantom, Avalanche, you name it. I was like traversing the metaverse to do NFT collecting, everywhere, and yield farming as well. But I had a soft place in my heart for Elrond. I had been a part of the Elrond Reddit army for a while, trying to produce content for Elrond, trying to help get the like North America. There's just like, it's a very European centric blockchain. And we thought that maybe, getting some content out on Reddit would help attract North American users, right? Where a lot of the crypto users are. So as a part of the Elrond Reddit army, I ended up writing what turned out to be a manifesto, right? It was just like this piece of content that maybe we could get more eyes on Elrond. And then it turned out to be this manifesto of maybe how this could, how we could help crypto, and how we could redesign a capitalism that is a capitalism that's more based on generosity than it is based on greed. And so as we're moving from Web 1, which is kind of the write web, to Web 2, which is the read write web, to Web 3, which is the read write own web, what does it mean for the users to be able to own the network? And I don't think that question has really been answered yet. And I had a couple proposals or ideas of like, hey, maybe this is how we could do it. So I ended up writing this manifesto, and this takes me to more or less starting to build a project on Elrond. My cousin had just graduated over the summer from, he's a CS engineer out of Arizona State. And so he's a young guy. And I was like, look, how do I get him interested in crypto? Let's do an NFT project together. Let's mint some NFTs and, let's sell them. And maybe that would help him get interested in crypto. We're all trying to get our families involved. I'm sure you have someone you're like, yeah, if only I could get him like excited about crypto, right? And so, yeah, he was my little, he's my cousin and we're close. So I was like, yeah, let's get him stoked about crypto. And, but then I started thinking about these ideas I had on, hey, maybe how we can design a better system. How can we use DAOs to benefit more people and not just, collect wealth for a few people, right? And so that kind of started the genesis of where we are today with ENFT DAO. And fundamentally, the DAO is, it started off as an educational project. And then it evolved into, a DAO that's about profit sharing for all, right? It's about passive income for all. It's about trying to design a system where the investors, the employees, and the users of a business are all incorporated in a single model that benefits all of them, right? And that's what we're trying to explore. That's the experiment that we have on the table for ENFT DAO. And so that was maybe like October of last year. And then we got introduced to like Kevin over at Helios, right? I'm a big Helios staking fan. Wesley, he also lives in Arizona, so we met up in person. And just a few other folks from the community. And that really gave me a lot of confidence to, put some roots down and really try to, develop a startup in a new way, develop a startup as a DAO, and develop a DAO as a like inclusive and fair community. And so these are things that really haven't been tried before, but we're, now's the time, right? Now's the time where we have the freedom to, what Wesley likes to say, like bend the arc of history, right? It's like, if we can do things right, maybe we can bend the arc of history, and we got to get off the sidelines and like into the game. And so that was the conversation that, me and Wesley and Kevin all had, and now they're advisors on the project. And so the fundamental genesis is that we want to share profits with everybody, and so that's what we're doing in our upcoming marketplace. It's called the UBI NFT Marketplace. It's named UBI after Universal Basic Income.
Right. I noticed that, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit about Regal Eagles? And I know you had a cost coming into this when you did purchase the platform. I know that was something that you had to look out for. I know you have people that are working hard. Can you explain to me and kind of the community where you like why you had Regal Eagles at like 1 Eagle, and are you keeping them at that for the whole mint?
Sure, yeah. So we told the community that we wouldn't price Regal Eagles until it came closer to the mint, but we had always stuck to it's going to be between 125 USD and 150 USD, regardless of what happens to the Eagle price, right? At the time, it was like $300 an Eagle. So it was half an Eagle, at the time. But we had always stuck to our guns of like, hey, there's going to be a USD value of this, and then when it gets closer to mint, we'll translate that to a e-gold value, right? So yeah, that was where the pricing came from, and the idea had always been that we're pegging all of our NFTs to be lower than ETH gas, right? Like you're an NFT collector over on ETH, I'm an NFT collector over there. And the idea had always been like, look, if it's less than gas, then I think that we're like a hell of a value proposition, right? That it's less than a transaction on Ethereum, then it's easy to see any value you get after that is positive in kind of the wider scheme of NFT collecting, right? So that's where we got to $125 to $150 from. And yeah, the price of eGold happened to be, I think, about $140 at the time. So whitelist was 15% off of that, right? And then one eGold was 140, which was right in the zone that we had told the community that it would be in. But I think one of the things that we're looking at this as, and maybe this is one of the things I think it's a bit of a maybe miscommunication, or we just have different lenses. I'm a startup guy, right? Like I am a venture-backed startup guy too. So Silicon Valley, I've been there for 10 years, and that's just kind of like dyed and blue to my blood and how I look at things. And so I really look at ENFT DAOs as a startup, right? And we're a startup before any funding, right? We're a startup that was cash flow positive with just nights and weekends, right? Without any big investment, right? Because we were able to, the community was able to support us with the vault sale. And so that's really what this is. It's more of an investment in a startup, and then getting the equity of a startup. And that's really one of the main value propositions here. And we were hoping, that we could do 100% community funded, which would obviously be, great, so that our incentives like 100% align, right? So when you get money only from the people you're serving, right, there's 100% alignment in what you're doing. It looks like that's probably not going to be, for macroeconomic factors. I mean, it's tough. The NFT market's down 90% across all markets, right, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, right, because of the war. So it's tough. So we'll be raising funds in a different fashion to make sure that we can continue the startup. Right.
Where are you guys at with your mint right now? How many are left to mint?
Yeah, we have about 8,500 right now left at the current mint price.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a bit of a start. Yeah. I'd like to see. I haven't seen a lot of talk about them. So it's still early, and we are in a kind of a weird place in the market right now. With everything, everything is dropping in value. As I see, things are obviously hitting like half mint prices, I think we talked before, High Street Wolves. They are going for like half mint price, a lot of them this morning. So that's just one thing, I guess. People feel like they're losing because right now there's just like a thought out there, if a mint isn't doing well, then it isn't successful. And I guess until they see the real value behind what you guys are trying to do and everything kind of blossoms, then the demand will be there more or less, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something we talk about as a team. How can we show value quicker, right? And so there are some things that we can do, like develop a NFT staking contract, and then starting to pay out the revenue or the marketplace fees daily. So potentially you can stake your Regal Eagle and then claim the marketplace fees that happened that day, that very day, from your staking. So, we
So
want to be able to show that type of
I have
value
another
quickly. Yep.
question since you brought up staking. Sorry to cut you off. I
Yeah,
just think that's important before I forget, because I will forget. So
sure.
do you think there is going to be that regulatory body that steps in on staking NFTs and earning like a income off of them? I'm just, throwing that out there. I mean, has that been talked about? Because I know probably like more people would probably be more successful if you didn't have to stake the NFTs, if it actually was just like a bonus that was dropped to your wallet, more or less. Because like staking, you're putting up like your value, so like I think that might be, the difference in between like some of these projects that might get stepped on if a regulatory, because they could label that NFT as something different than like an NFT. I'm just saying, like, if it's
Yeah.
used financially, you know what I mean? So, I mean, with what you guys do claim, there is that, kind of thought that's run through my head too, of regulatory body stepping in on NFTs. I know it's a wild, wild west, and I think more people need to pay attention to that because that's where the money's at. But we do need to look at the future, and I guess that's kind of my question.
Yeah. Have you read the new guidance to the White House recently?
I
Put
was
out?
just about to today. Yeah, I was just I had so much going on in the last couple of days. I know they put something new out, and I was reading something about it, but I didn't get the full scope. So
Sure. Yeah, I'll just TLDR. It's pretty vague right now,
yeah.
and yeah, we have friends who are interfacing with the SEC for different reasons. So we're getting the kind of secondhand readout of what the government cares about in terms of regulations. Personally, I think we're far away from seeing something that specific, come down on NFTs or even a position on it. From my understanding with the kind of people who are dealing with the SEC lawyers directly, they're mainly concerned about investors getting fleeced, right? Investors somehow getting taken advantage of, right? So in the state, with staking or with some of these other things, it is a risk, and you are completely right in that it is risk, because anything that could be categorized as security, right, could potentially be regulated by the SEC or by the government. It is a risk, and I think even if something comes down, we're maybe years away from them understanding enough to even write something that would negatively impact us. So we have time. We have a bit of time. And then with staking overall, I mean, it should be a net benefit to investors, right? It should be something that just gives them either direct dividends or some sort of return. So I would say that it's not immune. We're looking at the regulatory issues and trying to frame things in the right way. And we're also kind of making sure to have our ears to the ground to make sure to understand where the SEC is coming from and keeping up to date on all the regulations and where the government's at. I think that is I think so. It's a valid concern. I think we all need to keep our eyes on it. And I think one of the biggest things we can do as a community, as like an NFT community, is to really grow NFTs, right? To really grow NFTs, to really grow their utility, and to have all these crazy, awesome combined utilities that we're all talking about, which is like passive income and staking. And some of them are going to be hold to earn, to your point, which I prefer as well, like just hold and earn. And some of them will be stake to earn. But the most important thing is that we make it as big as possible, as soon as possible, because that's how you get the respect of the government. The government's going to be like, oh, this thing's big, let me not mess it up, right? So the bigger we can get it, the sooner, the lighter the regulation, most likely.
Well, I look at it as a lot of our freedoms are kind of dwindling, at this point, and being turned off to what we're into, by the normal crowd who use the banks. And I do see that there is a fundamental lack of education in the space, and that's why I do this podcast. And when I think about what's transpiring in the world, it's not very good. But I don't see how they could actually control something like that's in your wallet. But when there's a provider holding your NFT and then paying you, it could be something different, just considered something different. And so, like, I, on the first hand, would rather have that NFT in my wallet to be able to see it every day. Otherwise, then I have to go to your site and then I have to pull that up. And then, it's kind of like for the user, it's good for some things. Like some projects out there that they have a token that probably won't be used on like the marketplace. Maybe it could be exchanged for e-gold in the future, but that's one thing that's kind of scary, with regulation. So tokens are going on another beast of a thing on Elrond because of it's like 2017 Ethereum all over again. I mean, it was just insane just watching just like one pop up, and then people are just talking about it, and then dump, and then pump another one, dump. It was just, and we do still see it, but it's kind of like we do see that sideways action for long periods of time in a lot of these new ones, to try to hide. The market makers are trying to hide their 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 greed, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
their manipulation, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like we have a lot ahead of us right now that we don't know, but we do have a lot of projects on Elrond that will be blue chips and are blue chips right now. Even though the market's down, people are taking advantage of people that don't know, like you selling your your cool cat for double its price. Like you probably were kicking yourself for that after. But I don't know what their floor price is now, but all the market's down. So you guys could rise above the ashes here with something really great to give a competitive edge to your marketplace. And that's that's something that no one is really doing. I mean, people are trying to migrate towards that. I see another marketplace kind of migrating towards that, but you guys could be a first mover. You guys have the people behind you. That's a different story. I own this, and everyone that's listening, this is not financial advice. I do hold one Regal Eagle, so I support ENFT, and I really enjoy the whole team. I was on the last meeting you guys had, the ENFT Moot. I was on that call all day, and that was fun. Talking in our groups and hearing from you guys was really great. I think that people are sleeping on your project, but we'll have to see what you guys bring to us. Is there anything else that you guys can kind of give us today that
Yeah, I think a large portion of it is, let me back up 1 second. So the Regal Eagles collection is a NFT collection that is backed by an NFT marketplace and a product that you can use, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that is, I think, slept on. There's a lot of people who are doing collections, and okay, we're going to be building this, we're going to be building that, right? And then when do you see the actual product, right? So number one, this collection has product already, delivered product, and you'll be able to test the full functionality next week. Number two, we're here for the long run, right? I'm not here to pump floors this week or this month, right? We're here to build a sustainable startup and community. And that means that we're building a true community and business. And I think that is also slept on. Everyone says they want that, but then, you know, they also want, you know, floor going up today, and are you going to buy the floor, right? And those two things are incompatible, right? I can't be using money to buy the floor when I need to use it to build long-term value and utility for these NFTs. And the last point is, I think, you know, sure, the short term, and you and I mean, I'm a DJ, you see all the NFTs I own, right? And all the PFPs I own, but long term, like, that's not sustainable, and it's not valuable, and the market is insanely like stretched with how many, you know, 10K PFP projects across all the chains, right? And I own a bunch. I own a bunch, right? Galactic Punks, AVAX Apes, whatever it is, you know, there's a few, and you know, I talked to other NFT collectors out there as well, and it's like, look, you know, this is a moment in time, and a few of those will make it, and most of those won't, right? And so, really looking at the project, I look at the DAO as, you know, most DAOs are looking, okay, let me mint this 10K thing, let me build a base of money, right? And then let me like slowly make sure that, you know, it maintains, right? And instead, I look at it as, hey, how are we building a business here, right? With revenue streams. And that's why having a marketplace as the backbone of that. But we're going to have to build out, you know, more utility. How are people using NFTs in the future? Not how are people doing things right now. And I think, you know, while we're in a bear market, you know, bear market's a time to build, right? And then you find those new use cases in the next bull run. Like, oh, it's obvious, right? So the things that we need to be thinking about, or that I am thinking about building for the long run, is like, how do we make NFTs useful and obvious? Useful, utility, obvious benefit, right, to the average person, right? I know a lot of us here are like super crypto forward. You know, we're all degens, and we're doing the trading, but like, to expand the pie for everybody, we need the average person to adopt crypto and NFTs. And those are the types of questions that I want to be answering with, you know, ENFT DAO. And we'll have to decide on what the appropriate use case is, right? Is it building a Spotify of NFTs? Is it building, you know, the Instagram that is backed by NFTs, right? And backed by a marketplace where you can trade your Instagram posts, or you can create an NFT as quickly as, you know, posting a picture, right? Like, what are the killer use cases for the retail investor, or for the retail person, the average person, your grandma, my grandma, that makes it obvious that this is better than the last process, or Web 2. So, you know, right now, right, we are at just the beginning, right? Just the absolute beginning of building out a long-term roadmap that will get mass adoption and increase the utility of NFTs. So that's my second question, or my second comment is, look, buying a piece of, you know, Regal Eagles is also buying into a long-term vision. And, you know, the key here is long-term. And we want the Regal Eagles to be purchased by the community themselves. We want you to own the DAO, and we want you to own the revenue stream. And I know I can get plenty of people to buy the rest of them, you know, like in terms of like funding the startup. So, you know, I'm not concerned about that part.
That's the funny thing. You guys have so many people behind you, and no one's really like seen like what's going on yet, I think. And I mean, the people that you have behind the whole thing, and partners and everything, they have a lot of followers. So it's kind of crazy to see that, you know, kind of it moves so slow, but you guys just hit it like at the wrong time, I guess. But you know, I guess there's no wrong time to, you know, launch an NFT project if you're trying to give value back to the community, and, you know, or, you know, if people like what you do. I know a lot of people like the business that Wesley and all these other people that are behind this project. And I mean, like you said, if you guys made the Instagram, of Elrond, and made it like a marketplace on top of it, but like, it would just be like super insane.
Yeah,
And I
thanks,
think
man.
that, I think that I think we honestly need a place to kind of like have, as our own, but, that's not just a marketplace, but kind of like, if you're following someone, you can just buy their things or, see their profile picture as their NFTs. And, you know, um, like Twitter right now, they're lacking like in like their actual movable animated, profile pictures, I think,
Mm.
and I think that like that could be like something that's cool in the future to have like, like a Discord kind of thing, but like not just, you know, I create animated art, so like I just like, being able to show that off, and you can't do that, in a normal fashion right now. So
Right. Yeah, I totally feel you, man. Yeah, you Twitter is, just getting on board with this NFT, but what does a social media that's native to NFTs and the Web3 look like, right? I don't know. And, can we imagine that together, right?
right.
So yeah, we're it's like walk before you run, right? We have devs now, trained up at the DAO. The Helios Mint actually was technically also very hard. We're actually pushing the boundaries at the DAO, from an innovation standpoint. On-chain Warriors was our first mint. It was free, but it was the first completely on-chain. All the data is on-chain, right? Was the first on-chain mint. And then, Vaults, we did the ENFT event, but that was the first kind of ticket and event NFT that was sold, right? And then from the marketplace, we did the Helios mint just a couple days ago. We actually had 5,000 whitelist enforced on that mint, and only the exact same number of NFTs. So I doubt anyone has ever done a mint that has 5,000
Wow.
whitelists enforced and 5,000 NFTs. We had a 1-to-1 ratio
Okay.
of whitelist accounts and NFTs. So that's a difficult problem to solve, from an engineering standpoint. So we have a like robust security for the marketplace, scalable. We always like to talk about safe, right? Fast
Mhm.
and easy, right? And that really took us some time to build the infrastructure behind the marketplace so it's safe, fast, and easy. You see what happens. I'm not going to name names, but you see what happens when things don't scale and it's super slow, right? Or when things are not safe and
Right.
people are losing their NFTs. So, we spent the months between purchasing the platform and releasing to make sure that we can scale and make it safe for everyone. So, we're excited to be putting that product out only, a month or two after we really got started. So, I think it's been, some really great innovative product that has been, out there in the market. And I'm excited to, show even more of it and to continue to iterate. But yeah, over the long haul, I think you'll be really happy if you purchase a Regal Eagles, and we'll continue to also bring on new investors and new folks who will be investing into the startup and the DAO through the purchase of Regal Eagles as well.
I have another question. Are Regal Eagles going to be deflationary in any way?
What do you mean by that?
So, like I see that there's no there's no NFTs that are taken from the market for any like purpose, or like I do see that on other chains right now, like actual like burning some to make the other ones more valuable and maybe more shares, to your the bigger shares to your users. I mean, that's kind of like something like, especially when you grow, for that to actually be an income, to 10,000 users, it would take some time. But once you get to that growth stage, you would be hitting those marks that you're trying to go for. But you right now, like, you have another 10,000 collection, that everyone's getting tired of 10Ks, but I did hear a lot of complaining. I wasn't complaining. I minted one, for my treasury, because I thought, I seen the value in them, because of what you're doing, what you're building, and because of kind of your competition. Because that made me support you so much. I'm like,
Thanks.
You have different things that you're trying to accomplish. At the same time, is the UBI, what you call it, is that going to like all the NFTs that you guys have, like the vaults and all that?
Yeah, it will cover all the NFTs in our collection.
Kind of crazy, I mean, to think about, because that doesn't, it doesn't sound like a big piece of the pie for everyone, especially when you have a 10,000 collection, and then all that. So I can see how people might not see the value, especially like they'd have to wait for you guys to grow big enough to be able to that's a lot of people, and maybe people might have more than one, but with Regal Eagles being one eagled, it might be hard for the people that need it to get in, the people that are in third world countries. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, there's so many people sitting on the sidelines that they could be brought into the ecosystem, grow some money, then actually be able to make the ecosystem something. But I don't see it, and it is disheartening, really. I've kind of thought about this with your projects and stuff, and it's like, I've thought the same way, kind of. I support you, but at the same time, it's like, so much e-gold is going to these projects from people, and then they don't realize it. But in the future, we will see a big growth in the value of e-gold, and I'm predicting that it's going to be bigger than Ethereum at some point, because of a dramatic event that could happen. And that's just my thought, because it's resting on a country that needs it. It's made from the ashes of a country that had an authoritarian government, and still may have a resistance to it, but might not have a choice soon. So I mean, look at their GDP. But if something like that did happen, it would destroy everybody. Okay, it would destroy all NFTs. No one would be able to catch up with that. So these are things we got to be thinking about, like growing from small to big. Even though we have to, especially as people that are creating, we have to hurt, like to help others. Not we have to get a lot of money so that we can help others.
Right.
I don't see that. I just don't, and my heart hurts, like, from Elrond a little bit, and this is why I do these podcasts, and I have been here from day one. And being here and seeing the people getting excited and making money from their art, it is something that has touched my heart, because those people saw me in here and joined, and then mass amounts of people started coming, and then it's just like, wow, this is crazy. But then a lot of people, I felt like, me myself too, like like, I made this decision to spend my money, but it's always hard to see that people get so excited about something, but they don't see the future implications of their actions, when if they were patient, they could have gotten for half mint price, and they just gave up a month's worth of their income to mint something. Even on Elrond, I see it. The people aren't rich. We aren't a rich blockchain. We got to start small. And so, I know you guys do have big people behind you, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, but I feel a lot of people are starting too big. And we are seeing the draining in the market, and we are seeing the hurt in the market right now. And, a lot of people are just wondering what's going to happen in the future. So, I think being prepared for all that is something that someone, groups of people like you, having these thought, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Having that thought, of the future like this, because this is the future. If we're working towards a greater good, building from small is always what I feel like is what should be done. But yeah, I would like to see that a little more. I guess is
Yeah, 100%, man. First of all, I feel you too, man. Like I feel that, and feel that pain. A lot of people are suffering right now, for a lot of different reasons, right? The war is going on. The team's not too far away from the war, right? And all the refugees and just everyone affected by the violence. And then also just overall, we live in a society right now where it's like very unequal. And, even within a country, but then between countries as well, you see, a lot of poverty. And we need to do something about that. And that is fundamentally why we're starting, why I'm starting this project, why we are starting this project. We want to provide user basic income, which is a portion of the profits goes to the users. And we want to beat $2 a day, right? Because that is poverty. That's extreme poverty. So if we can sustainably pay, users $2 a day and build a business model around paying our users $2 a day, more than $2 a day, we could address extreme poverty throughout the world and use Elrond and eGold as a way to do that, right? And so, what we need to happen is we need to have, volume, right? NFT volume, right? Enough NFT volume so that, we can afford to do that. And I think we're going to get there, right? We're just at the beginnings, today of the use cases of NFTs, and that is what we are going to be doing. And so what you have to do, or what we're planning on doing, is basically saying that, hey, there's different tranches. The first amount, right, will go of fees will go towards the NFT investors, right? People who buy Regal Eagles, and investors who buy Regal Eagles. It's kind of like, you're just having a startup, right? And you have to raise funds from somewhere, right? So you have to get investors, and then you have to pay those investors back, right? You have to pay those investors a dividend. So, for the first X amount of fees in the marketplace, we're going to be paying our investors. And, if the Elrond community is hurting right now, and we feel that, we'll find a way to get the money. I've worked in Silicon Valley for 10 years. We'll find a way to raise the money that we need to continue the project. So that's fine. And the first part of it is, making sure that those who are early, like you, are getting paid, right? And are getting that passive income from the marketplace and from all of our work. And then the second point, to your point, once we grow bigger, right, and once we get more volume in, right, then we can programmatically send that back to the users every day, right? $2, making sure that nobody is in extreme poverty who knows about our marketplace, right? And so that is, fundamentally the idea is to try to find a sustainable way to help people escape from poverty, and to help their suffering. And to your other point, we see, I think of Champ all the time. He's our community mod, right? He's I think 19. He lives in India, and doesn't have a huge net worth, right? Relative to the American or Westerns. But man, right? Is he, able to build so much value in the community. He's worth so much, right, as a human, right? And I think about him when we're trying to build stuff. It's like, man, that is the type of person I want to give, some value to, and help them just like get that boot off their neck, right? And help them like do something that they're passionate about and that they could make a little bit of money on. So, the long story is like, we first went to the community to raise some funds, and we think it's pretty compelling. Most venture funds, the way that they work is, you give the team some money, and then you get this contract, and then in 5 or 10 years, when they go liquid, you get the 10x, right? And that's pretty much how venture and seed investing works. And it's a really messed up system, because you have to be in the know, you have to know the right people, and then this is where you get these billionaires off of Uber or whatever, because guess what? They just kind of knew the guys back in the day, put in 50K, right? And then 10 years later, it turned into $100 million, right? And guess what? The average person had no access, didn't even know about it, right? No way to know about it, right? To a startup like that. But so what we were doing is here, hey, we're doing our own startup. Let me give access to whoever wants access to it first. Let me give access to that, to the community first. Like, if you want a piece of the pie, come get it, right? And that's basically what we've done. We're gonna give ENFT tokens. We've set aside 10% of the ENFT tokens that will eventually be the equity token, right, to our startup. And we're going to give that to the Regal Eagles and our current collection holders, right? So we're saying, hey, a percentage of our startup long-term will go to the collection holders. And so in that way, it's exactly like venture investing. If you're your own venture capitalist, right? This is exactly like venture investing, except for it's better. You get an NFT that you could sell at any time, and you get a passive income stream, at the same time when you potentially stake it. So, we think it's pretty compelling to venture investors and seed investors. Now, what I really understand is like NFT collectors and venture investors are two separate people, maybe, right? So the thinking behind the two are like completely different. The time horizons are completely different, right? Like, it's just a completely different game. But what I thought was important was to offer people the opportunity. Like, if you want it, you can make a venture type investment in our startup, and that's what we're trying to communicate. But it is a little bit different. So the next step for us is we'll go along with kind of the usual way of friends and family. We want to make sure that our investors are people who are on board with our philosophy. Obviously giving away a bunch of money to users is probably not always the number one thing an investor would like to hear, right? So we want to make sure that like they're on board with what we want to do and how we want to help the community. But it's again just the first step in trying to build a community and trying to engage in the right way with the community, right? And so that's all we're doing today is we're saying, hey, we're open to taking your money if you want. And if not, then we're going to continue building as well. Yeah.
Definitely. I really think people could benefit in the long run for sure, because I'm sure you guys will come up with a whole I'm sure you're going to build all around these projects. I am always worried when people have so many projects to worry about, and then to have all those people to worry about too. That is kind of something that is always worrisome. But you guys are trying to build something that nobody else has, and I do think that you guys will have the people that that bridge those gaps that you were saying between venture capitalists and like the NFT buyers, because I think that's like what Elrond is for, is to actually have something we can build, not something that is just on the wall of our wallet, which is linked to a, link to a website that's on a bunch of different servers,
Yeah. Yeah, for now that's enough, but in the next bull run we're going to need more than that, right? So that's what we're building for. But yeah, man, yeah, thanks so much for having me here today. I hope it was helpful. Is there anything else that I can do for you, man? Just like personally, how can I help you? You're a creator out there. I'm always thinking about like, how do I empower creators, right? Like how do I make life easier for creators? So yeah, is there anything like that would make your life easier as a creator, builder, community builder? Yeah.
Yeah, I think having a way for all creators that are interested in your platform to get the same, get an equal opportunity and not have a bulk at the top that's always just seen, and having a community that like people know each other as creators, as people buying the NFTs. I think that's very important. And I think as someone that sees such a need for that, we don't have that. And things always, that maybe are more, they are more valuable, just do sit at the top. So then everything else is kind of like, it is kind of lopsided in, when, and especially when you're trying to build something that is trying to empower the community. We have a lot of creators that are struggling, and like you said, I'm building I have this podcast, having education, and maybe we can work more together in the future. I'm still trying to figure out my grounds here. More of my interviews get watched. I babble a lot on my other interviews, but on my other episodes, and but at the same time, I feel being here from the beginning is like it's valuable, and it's valuable to the people that are just coming in. And seeing Elrond, from becoming Erd to now pushing out NFTs, and like, it's crazy, and it's a lot for me to handle. So anyone like coming in, I just couldn't even imagine, just like trying to understand what we're trying to do here, and that we're not just like a Solana, that we're just pushing out projects. And that's what's happening is so much projects are just being pushed out, and then they're just the people are going along with them because they're making money. They're getting these royalties, and I've had talks with other people about the royalties and how like 3 to 4% is like all people are taking on some other chains for the most part. And it's like now Elrond seems to be a bit greedy, and I feel for my basic collection, I'm not trying to be greedy, but I want everyone to know that I'm trying to give value to my community, and that is hard. It is hard when you are trying to sell yourself and sell something. I think that, you guys are doing a good job with that. And being humble is hard when you are trying to put yourself out there too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, yeah, thanks for doing all the work, man. I know how hard it is we're trying to start our own podcast as well. Maybe we'll have you on sometime. Kay, who is an advisor, and she's currently the head of machine learning at Headspace. She hosts the podcast, and I think it's really important to try to get kind of more diverse voices into the crypto space and highlight them. And so she is the host of our podcast, where I just recorded episode 2. So we're trying to do the education thing too. I'm trying to get some diverse voices into the space. So maybe we'll have you on sometime, and it's a great idea. So thank you, and we're following in your footsteps, kind of. And then yeah, I agree with you. And on the royalties thing, yeah, we have a specific point of view on this one too. Is we want to build shared royalty NFTs, which is royal NFTs that share royalties with the holders. And that way you don't have to worry about, are my holders getting value or not, right? It's like, duh, they're getting value because they're getting eagled, and they'll share in the royalties. So what we want to do is create, the ability for creators to mint or create shared royalty NFTs, and that's what we call reflective NFTs, because the value reflects back, to your community with every single sale. So in that way, we're going to design in generosity. We're going to design in a type of NFT that you feel comfortable selling, because the value goes back to your community without you having to go, do whatever to make, all these moves to make that happen. So yeah, I want to design that into the design of NFTs, and then make it, open for any creator to be able to create that type of royalty system.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think that is having that royalty system built in right away. You don't have to you could just automatically just like boop, there it is, and I think that's very that's a lot of value just in itself. And I think that you guys will think outside the box, because a lot of these other competitors, they're just a couple people or one person sitting behind a computer, and how much can they actually think of? I mean, when you have multiple people who are trying to help a community, it's a different game. And you can, you're not playing the game against your users. You're playing game with them,
Yep.
for them, and I believe in that. So thank you for joining us today, Chris. I really have appreciated your time today. We're getting to be almost an hour here on the podcast. All my podcasts are just going crazy long now, so it's good to get this talk, and now people can kind of see. I have you guys. When you search, you guys will pop right up. So it's good. Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Derek. Thanks for having me on today.
Yep. And happy Thanksgiving. Happy St. Patrick's. Wow. I'm really far behind. Huh?
Yeah. Or a few months ahead. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. All right, guys. Have a good day, and see you next time on GM NFT Podcast.